Ooh, it's that good old cinnamon time again.
Is it that time again?
It's that time again, sir, for some good old cinnamon. It's me, Seed, one half of the cinnamon, and who's the other half?
Douglas Davidson, how you guys doing today?
This is the 9th episode, Doug.
It is number 9.
This is E9 for us, and you know what that means.
It's almost time for the end of the year.
Well, yes, it is time for the end of the year. Yes.
It's 1:14 on December 17th.
You do know what time it is.
I do.
This is the last episode of the year, but more importantly, next episode is the primer episode.
It is the primer episode.
It is the primer episode.
So much pressure.
I'm primed.
But are you ready?
No one's ever ready to talk about primer. I guarantee you nobody's ready to talk about primer. Yeah, man. So this is the 9th episode, man. We're getting back to it, like we said earlier, the last episode of the year. Yeah, man. We were gonna do a top 5 for the year, but we decided to hold off on that.
See, and I appreciate you wanted to hold off. It always annoys me that people do best of early in December, and I get why, because headed into January, it's the new year.
Yeah.
Except movies aren't out yet.
Most of the best of people who make these lists have seen those movies already. Though.
Yeah, they're lucky in that regard, and the rest of us not so much. And I realize that you look at me and think that I'm part of them.
Yeah, you're definitely one of them. This is us versus them, Doug. I represent the people. You're the establishment. You are the establishment, my friend.
Yeah, well, I'm the unestablished establishment. So
we don't need
I ate my lunch and breakfast. Can I please have my pudding? Can I please? There was meat on my pizza. Can I please have my pudding? No, I'll be flat out honest. It is one of the worst. It is one of the worst problems to have, is be able to sit and bitch and moan and be like, I have not seen these movies that are in theaters for X reason. Mm-hmm. It is one of the worst problems you could ever have. When I see film critics that are either in my organization or in ones that I'm not a part of that have gotten screeners, for those of you not familiar, screeners are literally either a disc or a link to screen a film without having to go to the theater. And it's amazing because people suck. People suck in a movie theater. And I'll get into that a little bit more later when we get into our new watches. But when I see film critics that have movies that I don't have for screeners, I get a little angry. I get a little angry and jealous. I do.
No,
it's like, but I want that too.
Is it more jealous than angry?
It's definitely more jealous. When I say angry, it's not like I'm throwing things across the room. Again, worst problem to have. Mm-hmm. It's like, I want that too. Come on. Last year I got real lucky. I've only been a member of the North Carolina Film Critics Association for 3 years now. I joined in June of 2016. This is my 3rd screener season, my 3rd award season.
Word.
And last year, I actually got stuff from Disney, and they sent Blu-rays. So when I heard what they were putting up this year, I was like, yes! Because it's Wreck-It Ralph 2, and it's Mary Poppins Returns. Yeah. And I mean, I've seen and already owned Black Panther and Infinity War, but I was really excited about the others.
Nothing. You can't win them all, though.
And I haven't even gotten to the theater yet. Because you can't get to the theater for everything. But it's the worst problem to have. So I might be part of the establishment, but I'm not part of the established.
Okay, the establishment.
I'm the low end of the man.
Okay, you're low.
The man looks down on me.
Oh, I don't know. The man looks down on you, but you're still at the table. You're just the last to get the food.
Kids
at the table.
Yeah. Kids table?
No, we're at the kids table. We're at the kids table. We're the cooks in the kitchen. Is what the hell we are. So yeah, man. Yeah. What's new in your world, sir?
Well, oddly enough, between having a minor medical procedure, everything's cool. Don't worry, everything's cool. It's just routine. But between that and having to take care of some other end of school year stuff, I've actually only seen 5 films since we last spoke. Five new films. Six challenge film, which we'll get into.
Okay.
But one I would definitely recommend. It's an Amazon Studios film that's coming out select theaters this Friday, the 21st, as of this recording.
Word.
It's a film called Cold War by, and I hope I pronounced this right, Paul Pawlikowski.
Yep.
It is I hesitate to call it a lovely film because with it being called Cold War, people assume that it's got intrigue, that it's some sort of thriller. It's actually a love story about 2 people that can't be together but can't be with anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a wonderfully painful film to watch.
Okay.
And I do recommend it. The performances are phenomenal. The cinematography is amazing. It's black and white, which would suggest that it's trying to be
Artsy?
colorless. Well,
okay.
that as well, but it's not. It actually draws out more of the emotion. It's less about being colorless and more about being stark. According to the director, the period where this takes place is post-World War II.
Okay.
It takes place in Poland and Germany and France. And unlike America, which had very specific colors and iconography of the period, post-World War II and, say, Poland didn't really have that. So to make it black and white made it more about the content than it did about the time period. And it works really, really well in that regard.
Yeah, it's on my list of things to watch.
I definitely recommend that. I did that before my last exam and then went home and wrote it. And let me tell you something, it was good I went to school for that exam because Cold War, whew,
Yeah.
whew,
All right.
it's got some feeling. One film I sort of would recommend, maybe. You refused to go with me to see is Once Upon a Deadpool.
Yes. I did.
Yes, you did. And it is weird. I saw that for Culture, CLTURE. If you guys want to read my review, go check that out. It's if you've seen the Super Duper Cut, if you've seen Deadpool 2, if you ever watched Deadpool on TV, combine those three into one film.
Well, as of this
And you have Once
recording,
Upon a
we got,
Deadpool.
8 days left to see it in theaters.
That is true. It is limited engagement, runs out on the 24th. So if you have any interest whatsoever, get there now to see those great Princess Bride Fred Savage jokes.
I'm going to wait a week before I post this episode. That way, oh, no.
No!
No, I'm going to post this today. Okay, yeah. So is it worthwhile? It comes with some extra footage in there. Is the Fred Savagery worth it?
Savagery is a great way to put it. He is the audience in this.
Okay.
There's a couple of moments where he calls out Deadpool for a lot of things that I think other folks had called out Deadpool on. So it's sort of meta in that regard. Let's put it this way. The people in the audience that I saw it with, there weren't very many people there, and I think that had more to do with the 3 other screenings that night, more than anything else. But they had a blast. They were laughing their heads off. And for the most part, it's still a fun film. It's just if you've seen Deadpool 2 in the full R rating, this feels absolutely neutered. There is a scene, and if you've seen Deadpool 2, keep listening. If you haven't, stop. Go watch it, and then come back.
Never stop listening to the cinema.
No. I said pause it. That's what I meant by stop. Just stop what you're doing.
Okay.
Go watch it, come back. Then finish the show. I didn't say never listen again. Come on, Daryl. Come on. We've got like 3 listeners.
Yeah,
so,
all
we
three
need all 3
appreciate
of them.
it, yeah.
One of them's Crystal. So, anyway, but the deal is that the scene where Cable and Deadpool are fighting in the prison, Cable breaks the hell out of his arm, and Wade's like, yeah, I don't care, and uses his wet noodle arm to try and choke Cable out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens, but it makes no sense. Through the removal of sound in a scene or two, it just looks like Cable puts him into an arm bar, and then the next thing you know, Deadpool's got his arm wrapped around Cable like a wet noodle. It's weird, but, you could turn it into a drinking game. Take a drink every time something makes no sense or got cut or. Although the masturbation joke from the Super Duper Cut did make it into the PG-13 movie, so...
Okay. I guess with T.J. Miller going, he's shirt cocking it. I guess
that whole line is gone.
Oh, man, that's my favorite line in the whole movie.
And they put a blur image over his privates in his butt.
Okay. Boo. PG-13 sucks.
So if, it's pluses and minuses. I've got a friend that wants to take her nephew to go see it, and he would be able to go see Deadpool in theaters.
Yeah.
So for that, there you go. If you want to take your family to go see it, my son, who is 3.5, would be like, it's Spider-Man's best friend, Deadpool. Sounds nothing like my son, but that's what he would say. I still wouldn't show him this movie because he's 3.5, but
he's still a decade away from being able to watch these movies.
I don't know about a decade. I saw Terminator when I was 8, so
Explains so much.
we'll see.
Explains so much.
But you want to go for a family film, there you go.
Word.
I also got the chance to catch up on A Quiet Place and Tag. A Quiet Place was so amazing.
Oh, you hadn't seen it.
I could not get to the theater to see it.
Theaters.
I know. Well, I mean, as I've said multiple times, you can't see everything.
Can't see everything.
But luckily, it showed up. I got a screener for A Quiet Place. I sat down, I watched it. I was blown away by it and bought a copy of it that night.
Boom.
And luckily, as of this recording, it's still on sale for $10. So if you haven't seen it, just buy it.
Mm-hmm.
It is so good. By the end of the film, I was going, yes, yes, in my office. And then I watched Tag. I watched Tag that night, and it was it's charming.
Yeah.
It is a charming, fun film. It's not great, but
not
it's
great,
charming.
but it's
No.
charming.
What I mean is, it's not. When I put it up against, say, Cold War or A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Tag, I mean, it's a very different film anyway, but for what Tag was trying to do, it's a fun film.
All right, then I'm going to mute your mic for a second and ask you a question.
Sure.
Does Jeremy Renner actually get tagged? I didn't need to mute your mic at all. Just give me a hand signal.
It was a middle finger.
Behind the scenes.
I'm not going to answer that question, but let me tell you this. The answer to your question is wonderfully executed, whether it's in the affirmative or the negative.
Okay.
And Isla Fisher is probably the standout. She's the MVP of this movie.
Oh, okay. I hadn't seen her in a while. I think, so.
Well, in watching her in this, I went, oh, right. She did the movie with Zach Galifianakis, Gal Gadot, and John Hamm about My Neighbors Are Spies. I forget the name of it all of a sudden.
That's right. Yeah.
So I saw her. That was probably the last thing I saw her in, but she's hilarious in this.
Okay.
She plays Ed Helms' wife, but she's not allowed to play because they made the rules as little kids.
Kids, yeah.
So girls can't play. But she's uber competitive. So it's really hilarious.
Interesting spin there.
Yeah, but the last movie I saw and is least worth mentioning is Aquaman. Aquaman.
I'll be seeing it tomorrow.
Awesome. I saw it. Enjoy the sneak. Hopefully, you'll have a better audience than I did. I bought tickets and went into the Amazon Prime Adam ticket event.
Why didn't you warn me, man?
I'm sorry. You want to do it again?
No, it's the moment's past.
Okay, sorry. But no, it's. I wish they'd done this movie before Batman v Superman. I wish that they'd done this movie before Justice League, because there's a few inconsistencies in the storytelling that I almost feel like I need to watch it again just to see if it feels inconsistent or if it actually is.
Okay.
For example, he's never been to Atlantis. This isn't a spoiler. They make this clear in the trailer. He's never been to Atlantis. Yet in Justice League, he went to Atlantis to go to the Mother Box. Now, maybe they keep the Mother Box somewhere else, but he knows where the Mother Box is kept. How does he know that if he's never really engaged with anybody other than Volko?
Well, I know Madrid is in Spain, but I've never been there before.
That is true, but again, if he doesn't engage with anybody except for Volko, played by Willem Dafoe,
Spider-Man.
how the hell does he know?
All right, that's a good point.
But I will say the cast is wonderful. Most of them have been in science fiction or comic book movies before. I didn't realize until writing my review. It's Tamura Morrison. If I'm trying to get this off the top of my head, who plays his father.
There's no such person on this earth named Tamura Morrison. There's only Jango Fett.
There you go. Had no idea. I was watching it, going, he looks really familiar.
Yeah.
Where do I know him from? Nicole Kidman's fantastic. She's got a great action sequence in the beginning. Jason Momoa is Aquaman in the best possible way. And the best thing I can say about this film is no one's going to be making Arthur Curry a punchline ever again. It is just fantastic.
Let the internet do its thing.
No. They should back off.
I'm sure they
because
will.
what James Wan does, and the best parts of what James Wan does, is it embraces the deep dark of the ocean.
Okay.
It's very Lovecraftian when it's really good.
Cthulhu.
Yes.
All right. I'm down for that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
And keep your eyes and ears peeled for Julie Andrews. Had no idea she was in this, but afterwards I was like, what? Yes. And it just so happens to be tied to my favorite part of the film.
In credits, yes, no.
Mid credit.
Mid-credit,
But
no end credit.
For the Amazon screening, there was no end credit. Doesn't mean that there won't be one, but DC's been more of a mid-credit anyway.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the what was supposed to be...
Or in the middle of the movie, like Batman v Superman. We'll just put the end credit sequence in the middle of the movie so that you don't have to stick around afterwards. That's what they did. Diana's sitting there watching the end credit sequence. Oh, right, maybe I should go join in this fight over here.
all right,
That was before she went to the plane, but anyway.
Yeah.
What about you?
What did I watch over the last last 2 weeks since we got down?
Well, not Tag.
It wasn't Tag. I watched Hotel Artemis.
Nice.
I thought it was decent.
Yes.
I thought it could have been a lot more than what it actually ended up being. I think they could have beat the John Wick people to their own game. This definitely has the feel of the Continental, right?
Yeah. That's what the trailer suggested.
That's what
the
the
movie
trailer
ended up
suggested.
being nothing like the trailer.
Nothing like the trailer. Yeah, I agree with that. Although I fucks with Jodie Foster in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought she came through in a big bad way. Spencer K. Brown was okay. Charlie Day was just so god awful annoying in that movie.
Sterling.
Sterling, that's Spencer. Sterling.
It's okay. He's fantastic. He elevates just about everything he does.
Yeah,
So
although
I'm
he
okay
was
with
a little bit bland in this, I thought too. And Sofia Boutella, so far, I've loved everything I've seen her in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it came and it went. Like, put it this way, I watched it because I was laid up in the hotel for work because the weather conditions were iffy, and they're like, "Oh, we'll just put you in a hotel so you guys can just slip and slide 1 mile to work." So fine.
Nice.
Yeah, rather than the 30 minutes it normally takes me, which I inevitably would have died somewhere.
Thank you for putting him up in a hotel. Nobody wants Steve to die.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't agree with that last part. So I watched it that evening. That morning, I'm taking a shower, and I already forgot what I watched. I was like, I watched 2 movies. I can't remember what the other one was. It came and went out of my mind that quick. I also watched Upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Lee Winnell, he's actually in Aquaman.
Oh, what?
Yeah, he's the cargo pilot that you see in the trailer.
Okay. All right. Dopeness.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I fucking loved it.
Yes.
I loved that movie. It was just a solid action movie, which had kind of taken a back seat to the spectacle of comic book movies nowadays. But it's nice, refreshing to find just a nice mid-budget action film. Logan Marshall Green did his thing. He's hit and miss for me sometimes, but I really enjoyed what he did with him there. It was damn fun. I plan on watching that again. You know, a little twisty at the end. There's the twist, and then there's the twist on the twist, and I was like, oh, and called the twist like 30 minutes
So did
prior
Crystal.
to that, and then that extra twist, I was like, I started thinking about it like beforehand. I was like, nah, they're not gonna do that, and then they did it, and I was like, all right, okay, well done, y'all.
Yes.
I would not mind seeing more from that universe.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how you could build on it, though,
I don't think you can build on it, unfortunately.
which might be the best reason to leave it alone.
Yes, that is the best reason. You get a
But
good
it's
stopping
still-
point. Stay at that stopping point.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is kind of like, what could you do here?
Yeah, I still want to see some more
What-
ass kicking.
Yeah.
I also saw Black Klansman. And that, my friend, will be somewhere in my top 5 for the year, I do believe.
Interesting.
Black Klansman was the dopeness all around. I thought it's by far the second best Spike Lee movie.
First being?
Malcolm X.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Malcolm X. I do love She's Gotta Have It. But yeah, I'm gonna
Those
go.
are the only 2 I haven't seen, I think.
What, Do the Right Thing or Malcolm X, She's Gotta Have It?
I think those 2 I did.
Well, this is not the Spike Lee show.
No, it is not. We can turn it into one,
You
though.
can do the top 3 Spike Lee movies.
Because Chirac and Inside Job just give me an excuse to watch those.
Ooh, you know what? I haven't seen Inside Job. Yeah.
Challenge issued!
You know, I would be 100% okay with that. Because that's one of those ones that I'm like, I need to see that movie, and I just end up watching something else. And yeah, I would be okay if that was a challenge.
Talking about Jodie Foster
Yeah.
being amazing.
Yeah.
I think Christopher Plummer's in it, and she plays a fixer. And for anyone with children watching, this is I'm just going to curse here, but I need you all to be aware that it's coming. He looks at her and says, "You are a magnificent cunt." And she just smiles at him. But he means it as an insult. She takes it as a compliment. It is,
Yeah.
that movie, just the performances, the cinematography, actually the final shot, the almost final shot from Black Klansman, you see it in the trailer, so don't feel like it's leading too much. The couple hear something in the hallway, so they come out with their guns, and the camera follows, sort of rides with them. It is, that I can recall, he does this first in Inside Job, and it's done better there.
Okay. All right, then, yeah, it's definitely on the list of things I need to see.
Challenge.
Boom. I like it. Yeah, it was dope. I dug all aspects of that movie.
Now, we've talked about Black Klansman before from my perspective.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that the bombing attack never happens, his partner's not Jewish, the girl isn't real, does that change anything for you?
Nope.
Why?
What do you mean the girl isn't real?
As I understand it, she's a fabrication in the story. She did
Oh,
Black Klansman.
I thought you meant like within the movie. Like,
Oh, yeah,
how
no.
is that a figment of his imagination.
Yeah,
What are you
yeah. The
talking
dude's
about?
psychotic the entire
Oh,
time.
yeah.
You see, he was doing karate in the evidence room, and he bumped his head.
Oh, okay. No, we've had this discussion before. I take a movie as it is on the merits of what I see from opening credits to closing credits. That's what I judge a movie on, not how faithfully adapted they did the business or whatever case may be. Like Dark Tower
Welcome
isn't
to
a
the
bad.
last episode of The Cinnamon. It's been a pleasure. No, I'm just kidding.
Dark Tower is a bad movie, not because it's a horrible adaptation of anything Stephen King did. It's just a flat out bad movie. So I don't take real events into consideration. I am judging a film based on how the film was written, directed, produced, scored, all that edited, all that kind of good stuff. That's what I base my stuff on.
No, totally fair.
So from that perspective, 100% okay with it.
No, totally fine. When I first saw it, that's how I looked at it. And that's why I gave it such a high rating. Unfortunately, I left the rating, but I've moved it down my list of films for the year.
Yeah, because you do take that into consideration. That was part of your main beef with Bohemian Rhapsody.
Well, that's because that is the beef with Bohemian Rhapsody. It is a lie.
Okay.
It is a horrible lie.
Okay, fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. And is that
So-
it? Yeah. Because thank goodness we're almost to the end of the year, so I can finish cramming everything for our best of
In January.
I've been watching so much television. But yeah, that's it. That is it for stuff I've seen.
Well, then let's use stuff you've seen to slide into this week's Cinnamon Challenge, or this episode's Cinnamon Challenge. I challenge you to watch the new Andy Serkis.
Mowgli.
What is it? Legend of the something.
The Legend of Tarzan. No, it's
Maybe.
it is Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle.
There you go.
Yes.
So what do you think? The new Netflix original.
Directed by Ulysses S. Claw.
Why haven't they released his mixtape?
Why? That's
They said he has a SoundCloud. Marvel, release the Claw Cut.
You know what? As brilliant as the moves Marvel's made, I'm actually fairly surprised that they didn't release just like at least one song or something. I'm incredibly surprised that even if they hadn't thought of that before it was released, everybody on Twitter was like, but we want the mixtape. You think that Disney would have been like, all right, we gotta do something.
At least on the Blu-ray. Give it to us on the home release.
A shitty
Like
music
video.
Yes, it's exactly what they should have done. Anyways, Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, of course, based off the Rudyard Kipling joint. Have you ever read the Rudyard Kipling stuff?
No, I've read his poetry, but I
Okay.
have not read If is my favorite of his.
I have not read this either. All I know of the Jungle Book is, of course, the
Bare
animated Disney
Necessities.
joint. Yeah. I thought it was okay. Some of that mocap was a little bit iffy for me, man. It was a little bit weak.
Like right at the beginning.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially right. It did get better as
Yes.
the movie went on. I'm not sure how that's
Surprising.
possible.
Yeah.
But yes, especially in the beginning, I was like, "What? This is directed by a dude who has made his bones on mocap. How
Who should have gotten an Oscar for his work in War of the Planet of the Apes. I'm sorry. I will not. I will die on that hill.
Yeah, he has become the face of mocap, and I don't understand how it was that shoddy. I thought it was okay at best. The kid wasn't the greatest of actors to me. I didn't really connect with him all that much. I thought the writing was a little bit weak as well.
Take it up with Kipling.
I'm
just kidding.
We gotta dig up an answer for the Andy Serkis version. Who's Andy Serkis? Yeah, it was. You had Benedict Cumberbatch that was in there. Christian Bale doing some voice work up in there. Of course, I thought the best voice work was Serkis as Baloo. That was my favorite part of the movie. I think was Serkis as Baloo. It's gonna come and go for me. I was kind of disappointed because I was so looking forward to this.
Agreed.
Because I was like, oh man, this is Serkis mocap. All right, cool. Check the mocap king. It's closer to the Rudyard Kipling joint, which means it's gonna be a little bit darker because Netflix funds everything, or not Disney funds everything up. So I knew that probably what the animation joint was back in the day is not what the actual book is, because it's the same with Cinderella, same with Sleeping Beauty. I was like, all right, so we're gonna get a little bit darker. I will check. I'm okay for that. And you got who voice? You got Benedict Cumberbatch. You got Christian Bale. You got Kate Blanchett up in there. I was like, all right, so you got some good voice work going in there. And then
Yeah, the voice cast is phenomenal.
it was less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me. So yeah, it came and went. I won't be watching that anymore as far as I'm concerned.
I agree with you on everything. The biggest reason I gave that to you, I got to see it before it dropped, and I feel for the most part the exact same way.
Yeah.
And I still haven't seen all of the Jungle Book, the live action, quote unquote live action version.
Oh, that movie's good.
That's what I've heard. Unfortunately, we started it, and unfortunately, when you have children, sometimes you can't get back to stuff the way that you want to. Again, you can't see everything. But I hope to one day finish it.
You should put that as a high priority, sir. And it's hard to, when I was watching this Netflix show, to not compare the two, especially because they were so close apart. Because what was that, 2016?
Something like that.
Yeah, I think they're so close to each other, and one was just so clearly more superior than the other one. What are you gonna do? I think Andy Serkis kind of got screwed on this deal. I don't know if I'm not sure if he knew that Disney was doing this business when he was adapting his own, but I think he was a little bit hamstrung by the fact that such a superior product came out. So like, if there was no Favreau version, then this one might have got a little bit more respect on its name.
Maybe.
But yeah, he kind of got hamstrung on that.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, bit of a shame. You had Apostle.
I also had a Netflix original.
Yeah.
And I'd wanted to see this film back in October, and just life.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, when my semester kicks into high gear, it's about 8 weeks right in the middle of, just for me, hell of grading and grading and grading. So it's hard to watch anything for fun. And Apostle was a film I had been waiting on. Gareth Evans, are you kidding me? The Raid 2?
Rogue One?
Morantu?
Yeah.
Did I mispronounce that? Morantu? Anyway, great films, great filmmaker. Okay, so you're telling me that you're going to do something that's not straight fighter film. You're actually going to do something a little different.
Yeah,
I was very excited about this, particularly because it's got Dan Stevens, who I'm not absolutely sold on. I never saw The Guest. It's just not my type of movie. He was good in Colossal.
You're not a big TV guy, are you?
No, he's in Downton Abbey, right?
He's in Legion.
A Legion?
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
that's fucking head trippy, right?
That's what I understand. I got the disc from Netflix and then just never got to it.
You're a terrible
But I will.
person.
I am a horrible person. But I'm watching She-Ra and the Princesses of Power with Crystal. Quick side note, if you guys aren't watching this, watch that shit, particularly if you ever liked Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Which came out today, 8 years ago.
Did it
Or
really?
9 years ago. Yeah. No.
Amazing.
I'm thinking that the Cameron Avatar came out today.
Oh, yeah, no, F that movie. That's just Fern Gully in space. But if you ever watched Avatar The Last Airbender and you were thinking about checking out She-Ra, Princess of Power, it's what it is. It's three friends who the archer, Bo, deems the best friend squad. Okay. He's essentially Sokka. He's the only one without powers.
Yeah.
He's Sokka. It's amazing.
You apparently enjoyed this show, set.
Oh yeah, it's just silly fun. Okay. And I was actually going through Wikipedia last night just to see about some of the similarities and differences, because I don't really remember She-Ra. I don't really remember He-Man either.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious. It's like I know names, but I don't know backstory. So I'm interested if this one will connect to the He-Man universe in the way that the original series did as it was created. But anyway, so can get to some stuff. Haven't watched Legion, but I really want to check this out. Michael Sheen's in it, and an actress whom I love, Lucy Boynton, who was in Bohemian Rhapsody. She's very good in that, but for me it was Sing Street. Sing Street is the film that first introduced me to her. She is fantastic in that. It's just an all-around amazing movie for a while. It was on Netflix streaming. If y'all haven't seen Sing Street, watch it. It is amazing. The scene in particular where they do the song "Drive It Like You Stole It" is one of my favorites, and no one's captured it on YouTube for me to just watch when I want. But this is a grim film.
Yeah.
That is beautifully shot.
It is.
that is tense. It is horrifying in multiple ways, multiple meanings. It is horrifying in the sense of the way that it just a slow creeping horror discomfort comes over you, but also in the violence.
Yeah.
It does not shy away from the violence, some of which was hinted at in the trailers. But what I particularly enjoyed, and I did a little bit of research after this, is the fact that Evans was trying to examine the cycle of violence that humanity goes through and the way that often religion plays a part in it, in the ideology and the cycle of violence that man goes through. And you see that absolutely. And the fact that it's called Apostle, without getting into spoiler territory, I won't get into, but the name of it really is fascinating, because you've got this guy, Thomas, who's Dan Stevens' character, who goes to this remote island that has a cult on it because his sister has been kidnapped.
Right.
Now, Thomas had sort of fallen off the face of the earth. The father, it turns out, had sort of believed him dead, and a bunch of other stuff. And you find out what's going on there and why Thomas is the way that he is as you go through the story. But finding out how he fell away from his faith, but also finds faith in a new way, is really fascinating.
They do a little bit of real world stuff in there.
Yeah. So it's the best kind of supernatural horror film where it's also based in a lot of reality.
Yeah.
And highly recommend it. Is definitely not for the kids.
Definitely not for the kids.
Definitely not for the kids. If you have a soft stomach, you will run into some trouble with this. I unfortunately started my day with Apostle and followed it up with A Quiet Place. And that's how I ended up watching Tag. I was like, I looked at Crystal and went, I need hugs. I need chocolate. Can someone just hold me for a little while? Because it was a grim, dark day.
It was a grim, dark day. Yeah.
But definitely recommend Impossible. Thank you for that one. I needed a reason to make myself watch it, and I'm so glad I did. I'm
glad I gave you the recommendation, because it was a fit of sheer desperation. I turned on Netflix and it popped up, and I was like, how about Apostle? It was like the first thing I saw when I pulled up Netflix. Yeah, because it was something I had heard about, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll get around to checking that out. Because that's when you called me on my BS that I gave you the challenge of a movie that I hadn't seen yet.
Well, you're the king of shenanigans.
You know what? That is a title I will proudly bear. Proudly bear. You got anything else before we move on to?
No, man. Let's get into your topic. And the topic you chose for this one, I think, is brilliant in its simplicity, but it's also incredibly difficult. The topic for today, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to have Seed go first on this one again, is what movie would you like to see again for the first time? A film you've seen and have experienced, but would want to see again as if you'd never seen it before. Because as we all know, when you see a film and you have that experience, it's never as good the second time. You know what to expect. You experience it differently. You might feel something similar, but there's none of that surprise. Sort of as you were talking about with Upgrade, you get that twist you sort of expect, but then the twist on the twist, you know what to see next time. So you can focus on the cinematography, you can focus on the foreshadowing, you can focus on all this other stuff, but you won't see it the way you did that first time.
You can try to cheat and just let it go for like 5-10 years. But even when we finally fire it back up, you're like, oh, I remember. I tried to do it with Chappelle's show because I just wore it out when they finally came out on DVD. And it's been like a good solid 10 years since I've seen it. And I was looking at a skit on YouTube, and I was just like, it's still just the same. I just can't get that magic back, man, what you see the first couple times. So apparently Doug has directed that I'm going first.
I did, in fact. I've got the camera pointed right at you, and action.
So this is the way I broke my joint up. I'm going to roll with it.
Shenanigans.
I'm going to roll it. So this is the way I broke my joint up. I'm interested in how, because you said this is very tough for you, from when I suggested it to when you responded, which is like a handful of minutes, I had my 3. I broke it up into 3 different categories.
Like you do.
As you want to do sometimes. The 3 different categories I broke mine up in is a big budget film that had a lot of hype that everybody was anxious in going into.
So the Last Jedi. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just predicting these.
Okay.
Last Jedi.
I broke it up into movies that you're like, that was kind of slick. I want to watch it again to see if I can put any clues together. Blah blah blah. This, that, third.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay, gotcha.
Which one?
The original, of course. I'm not talking about
1990 something.
Yeah.
And my third one is just a mind fuck. Like you gotta go out for coffee afterwards and just sit there and think about it or discuss with your buddy. Like, what the fuck did we just watch?
Geely.
Yeah. How did this get made? It's more.
All right.
Okay. So
What
number 3. And
You know what? Let's just have, because you've got your categories and I've got mine. You just do your 3.
Okay, fair
and
enough.
then we'll do mine.
All right. So my big budget hype joint, man, that I go back and it's more of just the experience than it is the movie. And it's 2012's The Avengers.
Nice.
Yeah. I watched it on AMC. I'm sorry, the Draft House did the Phase 1 marathon. It's like $50. It's like 14 hours. Or 12 hours, 12 to 14 hours, somewhere in there. So we got to the end of Captain America, and at this point, it's like 11:45, something like that. And they could not show it until 12. And that was the longest 15 minutes of anybody's life. And it was just when the lights went dim, it was just fucking chaos in the theaters. And there was just yelling and laughing and clapping when each one of the characters showed up. And then, you get that 360 rotation at the end there when the theme song kicks in. And people are just hype as shit at the theaters. And it helped that it was a very fun movie.
Yeah.
And, it could have been all that, and then the movie fell flat on its face with too much being stuffed in there. And how are you gonna properly balance
Justice
out?
League. Sorry.
Yeah, it could have been Justice League.
There's a cough going around our house.
Yeah, it's cough. It's Detective Warner and Detective Brothers. We'll figure it out. Doctors Warner and Brothers. Yeah, and it's so much fucking fun, man. And everybody just came out grinning from ear to ear, and everybody all had favorite scenes, and it was great atmosphere. I wish I could go back to that again.
Yeah,
for the first time. This is slick type deal. 2001's Ocean's 11, man.
Nice.
Yes, when you find out how they get the money out, and the music band, doom, 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 and you're like, oh, they're also the SWAT guys, and all that kind of good shit. And you're like, oh, this is brilliantly done. I think it's, to me, Soderbergh's done the fun stuff, he's done the heavy stuff, but Ocean's 11 will always be my favorite Steven Soderbergh joint.
Nice.
It will more than likely also be my favorite of all 12 actors in that movie. It's my favorite Clooney movie. It's my favorite Pitt movie.
Have you seen Out of Sight?
I have.
Oh, okay, just checking.
I have, yeah.
Because Cheadle's in that too.
Yeah, Cheadle's in that too. Yeah, it's just so much fun watching. Everybody's having a good time. You can tell, like, everybody's just kind of winking and nodding at the camera, and
In the best way.
in the best possible way. And in like where they reveal the heist and the way they kind of work Saul's medical condition into the actual heist itself, without telling the audience. And we're like, oh shit, Saul's gonna fuck this whole thing up.
And it's a nice misdirect. I could not get through the original Ocean's 11. I just couldn't do it. But I wanted to watch it, just couldn't finish it. But apparently in that film,
The guy dies.
the character dies.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a lovely nod.
Yeah, because in the original, the guy dies. Right when they get the money, they're like, all right, let's just throw the money in his casket for now. We'll just come and dig him up after the funeral. It's all said and done. They cremate the guy.
Really?
Yeah, so they don't get any money out of the whole deal.
Oh.
And the very last shot of the original Ocean's 11 is Frank, Dean, Sammy, Joey Bishop, Pete Lawford, just kind of like walking out destitute, like their ties are all undone, their shirts are untucked and unrumpled, right in front of the Sands, and which is what my poster in my room for the longest was. They just stopped right there, they cut and took a picture.
Nice.
Yeah, so that 2001's Ocean's 11. Love that movie. It's just the
That was
perfect,
my birthday movie that year.
the perfect comfort movie is
Yes.
what that is for me. And then
So far I'm 2 for 0. Come on, Geely.
come on, Geely. And then there's just the mind fuck of a movie that you're just like, holy shit, what is Geely, strangely enough.
Yes!
It's Predestination.
Oh, nice call.
Yeah, I
Nice.
think it's 2015 or so. Ethan Hawke. Also starring Ethan Hawke.
Yes.
It is a wonderful movie that you really got to sit down and you're like, what the fuck this? And just the fucked up life and just everything, all iterations are just wonky and screwy, and there's just no way to put this movie into words.
Yeah.
No way to put this movie into words. I think I've seen it a good like 4 or 5 times now, and I'm still just like, I still can't explain it to people. They're like, just tell me what the movie's about. And I'm just like,
I can't. If you explain it if you actually provide a summary, an accurate summary of that film, there's no reason to watch it. Like everything that makes that movie amazing.
Like if I were to give somebody an accurate summary, like if I sat you down for 5 minutes and I was like, this is this movie, and you just slap me in the face, you're like, stop making bullshit up on the fly. I'd be like, I understand why you slapped me.
I deserve that slap.
I deserve that slap, but this is actually a film you can go watch. If I effing love Predestination. I'm not a huge Ethan Hawke guy. I think his movies are okay. I think he's okay in movies, and he came out and talked shit about comic book movies, which you elitists out there.
To be fair, his comments suggested he hadn't actually watched some of the movies he's complaining about.
Exactly.
Because he complained about Logan, cited that film specifically and referring to a film, that as a comic book film where they're wearing tights. There's not a single tight to be seen.
Not a single ounce of spandex
Nope.
in that movie. Like,
Not
come on,
even
man.
a
If you're going to talk shit about something, at least know what you're talking about.
That was more of my issue, is he's blanketing the entire genre without really thinking about it. And quite frankly, I would agree with you on Avengers because of the emotionality of it, and how it still holds up. That film...
It's got high highs.
Very, very much so. And you can't look at this film where they made the ridiculous practical, and Marvel has continued more or less to do so successfully. I mean, some of them better than others, but
all varying shades of quality.
Absolutely. He's probably thinking about those films versus some of the others that have come out where they're not they're not the spandex stuff. They're not the guys in mocap and whatever else. Yeah. So I agree with you, though. It was sort of it was a misstep.
Yeah, he stuck his ankles in his mouth. But yeah. So Predestination, I still think about from time to time, and I'm just like, do I know what the hell happened in that movie? Which I love. I love movies where you just got to sit down and just really absorb. Like Shutter Island. Me and my buddy we saw it the day it came out. That was like 2010-ish. So it's been almost a decade of us arguing the ending of that movie, which he's wrong. But yeah, I love movies like that. So that would be my one. I just saw that on a lark. Somebody on Twitter's like, man, everybody should watch Predestination. And I was like, all right, let me find it and watch it. And I'm so glad I did.
Yeah. I forget how it crossed my radar, but Crystal and I made sure to sit down and see it, and we did not regret that.
Saturday Night Sci-Fi. That's how I found it, because there's a hashtag called Saturday Night Sci-Fi where every Saturday night, this group of people congregate on Twitter, and at 10 p.m. Eastern time, or whatever that equates to in your time zone, they figured out what they want to watch. They all press play at the same time, and they all tweet out their thoughts using that hashtag, so you can just look at everybody else's thoughts.
Nice.
And you could just, and there's always like 2 guys that get there like 10:20, and they're always late, and they're like, I'm catching up, guys. And you could just see the explosion of like, what the fuck is going on all around about the same time. And it was cool to experience in a strange group setting like that.
See, and that, when it's that type of shared experience, if you're live tweeting something, you're all watching it, and that's the agreed upon way that we are going to absorb this material, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
The issue I have, and I was going to mention this with Aquaman, is, it's a special event. You're paying to be there, whether you're there to sneak, where it's free, but you're paying with your time, because you got to stand in line and everything else. You've bought the tickets for a special event, so it's a little bit pricier than normal, or you're buying a regular movie ticket. You are paying in some way to go sit and watch this thing. Excuse my language, folks. Again, those of you with children listening to this, but shut the fuck up. I had 3 dudes to my right, and whoever was in the middle kept yelling at the other 2 to be quiet, but he was louder than the other 2. But in Aquaman, a title would come up and be like, somewhere in the Indian Ocean, and they'd read it.
Why?
I don't know.
Were these youngins?
I couldn't tell in the dark because they arrived late, which is even better.
The worst.
And even when you ask them, please stop, and you do it politely, I actually had a really bad experience in Proud Mary, asking someone politely to be quiet and legitimately thought I was going to have the shit beaten out of me. So I'm already don't like conflict. So now in the movie theater, even with my brother-in-law sitting next to me, who I'm pretty sure would have bounced on all 3 of these dudes by himself because he's awesome like that. I didn't want to say anything, but I finally did, and they still didn't.
99 films out of 100, I will agree with you. Except Get Out. I took my Caucasian girlfriend to the blackest theater to watch Get Out. And the commentary from the people in that theater made it so worthwhile. So where she walked down, she's like, I almost enjoyed them as much as I enjoyed the movie.
But again, it has to do with the communal experience. You're watching it, say,
Yeah.
blackest theater. There's a certain, I'm not going to get into the stereotypes of stuff, but there's a reason why these jokes are made and whatever else. And you're even saying, well, I took her to this theater and whatever. Yep. There's certain expectation. But you know that going in. Mm-hmm. You know that going in. Whereas in other circumstances,
you just want to watch a movie.
Just be quiet. Let me watch this thing. I've paid to be here like you have. But no, that's a phenomenal list, even though I got none of them right.
You gave it a good effort, sir. I'll give you a F plus.
I don't know if
F
it was
plus.
good. I don't know if it was good.
So rattle off. Give us what your three. Now you knew before we got into this. I told you beforehand that I broke mine up in specific categories. Did you break yours up into specific categories as well, or you were just like, these are the three that come to my mind most?
This was so flippin' hard for me.
Yeah.
For example, I've got stuff like Scream, Desperado, Kenneth Branagh's Much Ado About Nothing, Little Shop of Horrors, Rosencrantz, Guildenstern Are Dead, Titus, the Julie Taymor movie, Highlander, Army of Darkness. I've got all kinds of stuff on here, including Marvel's The Avengers. I remember I saw that film 3 or 4 times in theaters because it was just so amazing. And the first time I saw it, the energy that you're talking about. Now, I didn't go to any festival, if you will, some extended screening, though I've always wanted to, and those sound amazing, because I love that energy from the audience.
I took a nap during Hulk.
Smiles and leaps and starts tearing it, and the whole audience lost their minds. I will never forget that feeling. So there are so many films where I couldn't just think about it in terms of categories. I had to think, when I come to film, it's usually about how I connect with it. And every time you watch a movie, you create a new memory, a new association, you catch something new. So, but for me, I had to think back to what are these films that really meant something to me. And so as Crystal put it, I actually came up with a top 5 list with number 1 in a 3-way tie. So I leave it to you. Do you want to hear 5 and 4, and then I could just pick one of the 3?
That's how I would like it.
Okay. So number 5, quote unquote, is The Matrix. I've talked about The Matrix before.
My man.
I had to put that in there. I saw that film potentially 10 times screened, because when I was a freshman in college, I was part of the entertainment board, and we had to pick movies to screen on the quad, and I was like, motherfucker, Matrix, we're doing this movie.
Yeah.
So I saw that film more times than I can count. I read the comic books. I played the video games. I minored in philosophy in undergrad. There's so much.
There's so much juiciness in there to sink your teeth into.
So much from the storytelling, the subtleties in the characterizations and the way that each of the actors portray them, the cinematography, the direction. All of it is so thoughtful. To just every time you watch it, you can catch something almost a little new, and it's still a beautiful film. I picked it up thanks to Black Friday. I got the trilogy for about $40 in 4K, and I regret nothing. I regret it is so that first film in particular is just so wonderful. So that's a film that I wish I could go back and experience completely fresh for the first time.
That is not a bad answer.
Number 2 is another film. It rivals The Matrix for the number of times I saw it in theaters.
Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
No.
Oh, okay.
Which I did enjoy the first time I saw it, and then the more I thought about it, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But 1988, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh, Bob Hoskins, shout out.
Yep. Charles Fleischer, Bob Hoskins, Christopher Lloyd, Kathleen Turner. This is a film that could probably not be made today because of the deal that had to be reached between WB and Disney to get equal time for all the characters. But
if Disney can deal with Sony for Spider-Man,
maybe. But anyway, I loved that film, and it was a time when theaters spent time in theaters. Excuse me, films spent time in theaters.
Theaters usually tend to spend time in theaters.
They don't really move around all that much. But in the 80s, in particular, there weren't as many films, so you might have one film in the theater for about a year.
Yeah.
Whereas now you're lucky if Mortal Engines, which apparently is struggling a little bit, will make it to theaters by, 2019.
Yes.
It may not be there. So if you want to see it, jump on that because it's not doing so well.
Yeah.
But we all know that roughly 3 months after a film hits theaters, it's going to be on home video, so you can sort of take your time. At this point, we didn't know that, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit was a film that my mom kept taking me to anytime that we'd go to pick up my brothers at summer camp. And so we'd see it the night that we dropped them off, and then the night before we picked them up, we'd see it, and then somebody would keep taking me to theater, and that movie never gets old.
Yeah.
Never gets old.
I haven't seen that in a while.
Highly recommend. I bought the DVD I bought while I was in college. It was the first time it came out on home video, on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And got a whole bunch of my college friends together. Crystal was there. And we all sat there, and I went, this movie is dirty.
Yeah.
I did not get any of these jokes. So parents, if you are worried your kids are going to catch the naughty stuff in movies,
show it to them.
Yeah, they're not going to see
There's only
it.
one way to find out if your suspicions are right or not. Show it to them.
They're probably not going to notice. They're probably not going to notice at all. So that's 5 and 4. For me, a 3-way tie was The Dark Knight, Superman the movie, and then the one that I took a bit of a poll, and I have to agree with it. I needed some push one way or the other. Michael Gondry in Eternal Sunshine.
Eternal Sunshine.
The Spotless Mind.
I was like, Gondry. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, okay.
Co-written story and screenplay by Charlie Kaufman, stars Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, Tom Wilkinson,
Mark Ruffalo.
and Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood. I saw that film at a period in my life where things were tumultuous.
Mm-hmm.
I was working for Kiss 95.1 and K104.7 doing promotions. So I was working the sneak preview for this. I was getting paid to watch it. Best job you can have, getting paid to watch movies.
Yep.
But I was out of college, had already been in retail for a little while, first gig into radio, hungry, young, trying to get a career doing something, in between relationships and romantic relationships, I should say. And things were I sort of felt adrift. And then watching this film just caught me at a period in my life where it just got me thinking about where I was and how I dealt with things and everything else. And then, of course, the fact that the mixture of practical and special effects in this film are so amazing that it really captures the dream state that Jim Carrey's character is stuck in.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they play with the past and the present and sort of make things in a weird way a horror show, while making things also incredibly sweet.
Yes.
Was wonderful.
And as a baby is my favorite part.
So peaceful.
Yeah.
So peaceful and wonderful. So that's one of those films where I almost wish I could see it again with fresh eyes, and particular being in a different place, being in a happier place, a healthier place, knowing where I want to be and what I'm doing. I would love to be able to see that one again.
It will be making its appearance somewhere on the Paprika Sci-Fi draft, I'm sure. One of us are going to be able to draft that.
It's not going to be under the Star Trek category, right?
It might be. I might just put it there.
I don't think any of them have been in Star Trek.
No, actually, I was trying to figure out. I was like, nah, not in Star Trek. Yeah, so that's a damn good list, sir.
I agree. I mean, I was disappointed by the lack of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Geely, but whatever.
You know what? If we did a top 5.
Technically, I did.
Yeah. All right. So that's about it, man. 53 minutes. I think we did ourselves a damn fine day. You've done a man's job, sir.
Aw.
Yeah, it was that.
Yay!
Blade Runner.
In record time.
In record
time for us. Usually about this point, you're going, okay, so we've got 5 minutes to do our topic of the day.
Yeah.
Didn't have to do it this time.
Yeah. You got anything? You want to plug some shit before you get out of here?
Well, if you're not already checking out EOM Reviews on Facebook, come give that a like and a follow.
Yeah.
You can find my reviews on elementsofmadness.com. We've our contributor Hunter Heilman. He's compiling a best of list,
of course,
for December. I'm working on my sticky list. I don't like top 10 lists. I don't. For what we talk about here, I always think about it as favorites because stuff can shift and change depending on what you're into. So with best of lists, I don't like doing those. I like sticky movies. I like movies that even if, like a Tag, for example, it may not be a best picture anything, but if it resonates with somebody, if it's a movie I want to keep going back to, there we go.
So join us next week when we do our top 5 for 2018.
No! No, I will not be there for this one. It'll be Seed by himself.
It'll be me and me as Doug Davidson.
Oh, okay. That would be interesting. So I've got a sticky list coming out for that. We've got top 10 for there, and then, of course, got reviews of all kinds of stuff headed y'all's way. Nothing for Mary Poppins, though, or Vice. But Destroyer. Destroyer's coming up. Hunter's reviewing that one.
Yeah, the final movie of the year, Destroyer.
Vice is also coming out on the 25th.
I think Destroyer's later than that.
I thought it was the 25th, too.
I thought
we were getting
like
fully depressed between Vice and Destroyer, although Mary Poppins is... This is
Destroyer's the
confusing.
28th.
28th?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the 25th.
Yeah, that's hard on my radar.
Because
Something's on Christmas.
Merry Christmas, go get depressed.
Yeah, I mean, I fully plan on going to watch. That's a tradition that will never break for me. Is going to watch a movie on Christmas Day.
Yeah. That I married a goyim, so I don't get to do that anymore. But when my son's older, maybe I'll be able to do that.
There you go. Yeah, come on, kid. Let's go see a movie. Yeah. Yeah. All right then. I think that's it, man. We will see you guys back in the new year.
Woo!
2019. Hope you have a good, safe New Year there, Doug.
You as well, and Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas, and Happy Hanukkah to you, good sir.
Well, it's already gone.
Well, I wish Happy Hanukkah last episode. So
That's
I
true.
Covered my bases. Yes.
Yes.
All right, then, guys.
We are ethnically friendly. Happy holidays to all of you, no matter what you celebrate.
I'm probably just going to cut that out. It's just going to stop at we are ethnically friendly.
Aww. Boo.